You can invest all your time into something little, or you can invest all your time into something big. But residential real estate has a lot of headaches. I want to scale something that not everyone's aware of or pursuing, like a niche, right? Like something that people are overlooking.
When you're going into business, it's about who you become, becoming a good person and becoming better.
Yeah.
Opportunities come.
Marketing's and everything. You need to find deals. You need to market deals. So I was like, maybe this can be a way that I can.
Hello, welcome everyone. This is the Founder Scoop. My name is Jacob Lee. Today I have with me my friend Nick. Thank you for coming.
You bet. Excited to be here.
So Nick, what is your company called?
It's called Dental Property Group.
Dental Property Group.
Yep.
Okay,
bet you can't guess what we do.
Yeah, give me an overview. What does Dental Property Group do?
So we acquire properties with dental offices in them and lease them back long term.
I like it. Do you have a background in dental?
Not in dental, but I do in real estate.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's cool. Well, what does your background look like?
Graduated from BYU in 2015 and got into real estate a year later because I saw the vision of cash flow. My long-term dream is a spiritual one. I want to help build the kingdom of God and gather Israel, and working on ways to do that and want to do that full time. But in order to do that, I realized over the time I was in undergrad that I probably wasn't going to ever achieve financial freedom to be able to do that full time without like starting a business or, there's different ways to do that. I mean, you can invest, well and have a good paying job. But I wanted to accelerate that and retire, earlier, in my 30s or 40s. And so, the best way to probably do that is to be an entrepreneur. And you can, again, even with real estate, you can do it kind of the slow way or, part-time as you have a full-time job or whatever, but wanted to kind of accelerate that path, and so got into real estate.
And so you told me earlier you're from Orem.
Uh-huh.
Did you always want to be an entrepreneur, or where did this idea come from that you wanted to cash flow with real estate?
Yeah, that's a good question. I was terrified of being an entrepreneur as a teenager. Yeah, because someone in my family had started different ventures and they didn't work out. And so I was scared of doing it, and never thought that was going to be me, never wanted to go into business. I've wanted to do humanitarian work, and just kind of more impact work for humanity since I was, I don't know, a kid, honestly. And so then I went to BYU, and I think I changed my major like 11 times.
Wow. What was your first major?
First major was I wanted to be an eye surgeon.
An eye surgeon.
I wanted to cure blindness.
So you're a big dreamer then.
Yeah. And then I think it was I took an intro to medical professions class, and I don't know if it was perfectly correlated, but somewhere around the urology section, I think I said, this maybe isn't for me. I realized that maybe to get to be an eye surgeon, going through the blood and guts training, I don't know. It just
it's a little too much for you.
Yeah, I felt like maybe there's other ways for me to, make a mark. And so that was my first one. Yeah.
So anyway, how long were you at BYU then? If you changed 11 times, I feel like you must have been there for a while.
Yeah, exactly. 12 years. No, I'm kidding. Yeah. Just graduated. No, graduating this fall. Yeah, in December.
That's crazy.
No, I got my associate's degree like 3 months out of high school
Okay,
because I
nice.
just took a lot of AP and honors concurrent enrollment stuff, and so that kind of gave me a head start, if you will.
Yeah.
So I bought myself some more time of indecision or exploration. So anyway, I took a semester off because I just became, I mean, I was like, I think I was getting like emails from the BYU like graduation office that it was time to like apply for my cap and gown, and I hadn't even like picked a major because I had so many
That's
credits.
really funny, actually.
And so I took a semester off, and I was working at a local company here called Security Metrics. Shout out Brad Caldwell. He's a mentor of mine. And that like kind of, I guess I became a little more interested in business doing that.
Yeah.
And I had like had sales jobs since I was a teenager as well. And I was not amazing, but I was like, I just thought business, like I was talking to business owners every day because we were selling security, credit card security. And I don't know. I think that kind of was like, I need to tell Brad this actually because it did contribute to my path of where I am now because I was talking to business owners every day, and I guess I kind of started getting curious about it,
Yeah.
And I think I was curious about it for a while, but I think I was really afraid of it because of the failure I'd seen.
Sure.
But it's so interesting how sometimes like the things that scare you the most, you like know that that's what you need to do,
Yeah.
So anyway, went back to school. I was like, okay, I'm changing my major for the the 12th and final time or whatever, I'm going to do business, and I'm going to take, the intro business classes or whatever. And if this doesn't stick, like I'll just drop out and like do sales or whatever. Anyway, and so I was in a marketing class, and shout out Mike Swenson, marketing.
Hey, I've taken his class as well.
Dude, yeah, he's inspired generations. But yeah, I was just in that class, and it was the entrepreneurial marketing section, and I felt like I was struck by lightning. It was crazy. It was honestly one of the most like spiritual experiences of my life, which is crazy. But
Wow.
yeah, I was like, this is exactly where I'm supposed to be. So that's kind of, yeah. And then got into the Marriott School, and yeah, I mean, started taking more classes in business school, and started hanging around the Rollins Center, for entrepreneurship at BYU. And
Totally.
that place was like my oxygen. I don't know. I felt like, and then, graduated from BYU and worked for a year in doing sales. And I realized that I wasn't really a corporate guy. Like you said, I think I have, I guess I'm a little bit of an ideas guy. If you do the like Strengths Finder test, that's one of my strengths is ideas and, vision, I guess, like big ideas. So I wasn't very happy where I was that year after graduating. And then that's when I got introduced to real estate investing by my amazing mom.
Really?
My mom, yeah.
Your mom
Yeah,
introduced
my
you to it?
mom, yeah. So listen to your mom. But yeah, she was just, she's like, you need to look into real estate investing. And she was looking into it because my family was not well off growing up. And so she was like trying to figure out a way to create a better future for her kids, and realized that a lot of wealthy people own real estate. So she started researching it and trying to get into it. And then she told me I should look into it. And I went to one seminar, and that was it. I was like, okay, I'm quitting my job,
Wow,
had
it
some
convinced you that
savings and-
quick.
Yeah. Cause I was looking for something else at the time. And that's what I'm telling you. Like when I saw the vision of cash flow, it was like, I'll never forget, like on that whiteboard, or I don't know, it was a projector or something, but in the seminar, it was like, if you own 10 houses, just 10 houses, because of all the tax savings and like the way that real estate is incentivized and all the depreciation and everything, you can own 10 homes and basically cash flow, over $100,000 a year without any tax liability, right? So it's essentially makes your income like $200,000, right?
Wow.
Because of the tax
Right.
savings. And anyway, so I was like, that's a pretty good living,
Totally.
and that was kind of the slow way, right? Like if you acquire one house a year or something, right? And so that was it, man. I was like, I think this is the path.
That's cool.
Yeah.
So what happened in between, right? You said you, about a year after, right, you went to the seminar, but now you're doing dental.
Yeah.
What happened in between? How'd you get to where you are now?
Yeah. Just a lot of visits to the dentist. No. No, that was when I was a kid. I had horrible teeth, but
Hey, me too. I feel it.
yeah.
I once had 12 cavities at one time.
Oh my goodness.
It was a
Did you ever get
terrible
your teeth
month.
pulled?
I did not get any pulled, thankfully.
Okay. I can't remember if it's 6 or 8 teeth pulled. We had like a competition in my
cow.
family of like who get. There's 8 kids. I have 7 siblings. It was like a competition to see who could get the most teeth.
That's
pulled.
crazy.
I can't remember if I had 6 or 8, but I was top 2.
You were up there,
Yeah,
yeah.
I was up there.
Holy cow.
I think I was 6. I think my sister was 8, but anyway, so no, it had nothing to do with that. I was working I started getting into real estate, networking, and like I was selling real estate education, and just trying to figure out how I was going to get into it myself, like actually investing in real estate. And then I was doing marketing I started doing freelance digital marketing, and I was like, maybe this is going to be my way to like, because marketing's and everything, you need to find deals, you need to market deals. So I was like, maybe this can be a way that I can kind of create value and partner with someone or work for them or something. So anyway, one of my clients was a real estate investor, and I ended up just doing so much work for them that I just started working with them full time, and I was like head of deal sourcing for them. So we would do all kinds of marketing online and offline. Door hangers, Facebook ads, Google, cold calling, like you name it, we did all. And I worked with them for I don't know, 3 years maybe. And we did hundreds of deals, and it was mostly just fixing and flipping. And eventually I was like, okay, first of all, these guys are not maybe growing as fast as I would like them to. It was kind of, I feel like it was kind of more of a lifestyle business for them. And, young, hungry, big idea guy, I'm like, I want to build something huge,
Yeah.
And so, and also they weren't really owning any of the real estate. They were just fixing it up and turning around and, selling it. And I was like, this is so weird, because they're in real estate, but they're not like
Not very deep.
experiencing the real value of real estate from my perspective.
Yeah.
It's like they were just doing any other sales job where it's like you close another deal, and you get a paycheck and move on. Like, I'm like, but the house is like the golden goose laying eggs, right? Like, you're just buying more geese and like selling them, So I started researching, and I realized as well while I was in this process of working with them that residential real estate has a lot of headaches. So the tenants, if it's student housing, they might, they might be turning over every month.
Yeah.
But, usually tenants will turn over like every year. Sometimes you'll find like long-term, tenants that'll pay rent for, 2 decades or 3 decades or whatever, but it's pretty rare, right? And they're not really treating the place like their own. They know that they have a landlord that they can call. I mean, I've been a renter, you've probably I'm assuming you rent right now,
yes.
right? And it's like, you have that comfort knowing that like, if anything breaks or like there's anything that needs to be fixed or whatever, I just need I'll just text my landlord.
Push a button, basically.
Exactly. Which is like so nice as a renter, but as a landlord, like that's a huge burden, right? Like it's either you or like a property manager. It's a very hands-on investment for somebody. And, tenants, they don't treat the place like their own. And so when they move out, like it's left worse for the wear, like, and sometimes significantly, right?
Yeah.
And I know I didn't always treat the places I live super nicely. I like to have a good time, throw parties and stuff. So anyway, I started to realize that residential real estate, like it can be a really great, passive income stream, but more often than not, it's not very passive. And
Very active on your part.
Very active. And there's so much that can be, there's so much that can go wrong that you're responsible for, that your cash flow sometimes is very little. I mean, a lot of real estate investors like when buying houses, it's like if they can make $200 a month, they're happy, right? Yeah. Which is like, how much is $2,500 a year going to do for you, right? And so, yeah, maybe over 30 years, if you pay that off, like it's going to cash flow better, but it's just, I started looking at all this and I said, okay, I wonder if there's a better way, right? And I remembered my grandpa, who he didn't mentor us, but he retired when he was 53 and he owned some commercial real estate. And I was like, okay, he had a good life. He, built a house on the Provo Bench, moved out of the Bay Area of California and lived for like 40 years. And as far as I know, all he did to like make an income was own like a couple commercial buildings. And so I started looking into commercial real estate, and I had a couple criteria. And I think this may be helpful for people who are like thinking about business, and like, how do I find a business idea? Is like, find an area that interests you, right? And then ask questions, and the opportunity will present itself. So here's how it worked for me. So I said, okay, I want cash flowing real estate, great cash flow, long-term tenants with way less like property management, right? And I didn't know, what the opportunities were. I just knew it seemed like that was something that my grandpa had figured out. And so I started turning over a bunch of rocks and just looking at all kinds of asset classes in commercial real estate. And I found this one asset class called net lease real estate, which seemed to check those boxes. Again, kind of hit or miss depending on the kind of tenant, but that category seemed to be a good one. And then I added a couple other filters on top. I said, what's an opportunity that I can scale up? I have a big idea, like I want to do something significant. If you're going to invest, I love this quote by, I think it's Steven Schwartzman, who owns a private equity firm called Blackstone. They're huge. I think they manage like $1 trillion in assets or something.
Yeah, they're a huge company.
Yeah. He said, if you're going to invest all your time into something, you can invest all your time into something little, or you can invest all your time into something big. But either way, you're investing all your time, right? So why not do something big? And so I said, I want to do something that I'm going to scale, I can scale up and be something big. And then I want to scale something that not everyone's aware of or pursuing, like a niche, right? Like something that people are overlooking. Because there were other opportunities that, long-term tenants, great cash flow, lower maintenance, but that everyone was, trying to chase. So this is an interesting part of the story now. I was on a humanitarian trip um, with an organization called HXP, used to be called HFY, and I was talking to the mom on the trip, and she's like, "What do you do for work?" And I told her what I was doing and what I was looking to do, and she said, "Oh, well, you should talk to my husband." And turns out they live like 15 minutes away from me, and so
Wow.
convenient, right?
Yeah.
But not coincidental in my belief. And so I got a ride home from the airport. He came and picked us up, and on the way home, he was telling me about dentistry. And without boring you with everything that's going on, the high level pitch is dental tenants. If you think about any of the dentists that you've ever known, you probably realize that they don't move. They stay in the same location on average for their whole career. So they're there for, 40, 50 years. The average rent, we're talking about like a house, which is like $200 or $300 a month, and you're happy, right? On these ones, it's, hey, if I put, $100,000 in to a house, maybe I'm hoping to get $200, $300 a month, or, $2,500 a year. But for this, you should be getting at least, $600 a month, right? So it's like triple the cash flow. And then they sign lease agreements where they're responsible for keeping the property nice. And they want that responsibility because if you walk into a dental office, if there's holes in the wall and like the pipes are leaking, you're probably going to,
You're going to walk out.
like, what are they going to do to your teeth?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And so they are highly incentivized. They want the responsibility on them. So they're not waiting on some landlord, in another state or whatever, or, that has a lot of properties to manage to come and fix things. They want to be on top of it, like immediately. They show up to work, something's wrong. They send their office manager to fix it right away. So, check those boxes, right? And then the next two filters I had on was something that not everyone's aware of, and something that I can scale up. And what I learned is dentistry right now is a consolidating industry, which means that dental office owners are affiliating with groups. It creates more efficiencies. They're not great at marketing and hiring and, finances and things. So they partner up with these groups, and the group has like an administrative team that helps them manage that. And so in the next 10 years, half of all dental offices are going to be affiliating with some kind of group, which is just a crazy number. And so it's at this inflection point right now where it's just starting to they've been happening for a long time, for like 30 years, but it's like an inflection point now where it's like starting to explode. It has been for the last couple of years.
It's a growing market, you'd say.
Yeah, so like this group practice, situation. And as part of these affiliations, dentists historically own their real estate 3 out of 4 times. If you own your dental office, you own your real estate. And when they're transitioning into these groups, they're offloading their real estate or wanting to offload their real estate about half the time. And so there's a huge opportunity right now, and at the early stage, not everyone's, aware of it, chasing it, to acquire a lot of this real estate and hold it and lease it back long term.
Interesting. So it sounds like you got really specific about your dream customer.
Yeah.
You found a market that was underutilized but growing.
Yep.
And you found these opportunities.
Yeah.
It's really cool.
Yeah.
So how does your business come in? I know you have co-founders.
Yeah.
How did you get actually started? Did you get funding from them? Tell me more about that.
Yeah. Try to keep this brief. Basically, I was like, okay, I obviously need to do this with others. And I started looking for a co-founder who could help with like the analytics side, because my experience is like finding the deals, that's like my strength is like marketing and, building relationships with people, but not so much the like financial side. And so I spent a year looking for a
Wow.
co-founder. Yeah. And interviewed people literally all across the country. Like I put out job postings and listings looking for the right co-founder, and I actually hired like 3 of them and tried to like work remotely. One was here in Utah. And then finally I was like, I just posted on my Instagram story, I think, and I was like, who can help me with spreadsheets or
No
something?
way.
Because there's this really powerful quote as well. I think it's Steven Schwartzman. Clearly, he's influenced me. But he talks about how, like, and a lot of people talk about this actually, but how culture fit is a lot more important than like the hard skills, because the hard skills can be taught, but like who you are is not really going to change. And that's built over like a lifetime, right? So,
I think I've heard of that actually.
yeah.
That's very important concept.
Yeah, it's super interesting, and I wouldn't have had to spend a year, figuring that out if I actually believe that. But I have a really good friend who I'd known for years, and so trusted him, right? And he owned some real estate, but his main thing was like investment banking, business valuation. And he responded like my Instagram story and was like, Nick, like what I do. Like I'm my middle name's Excel, like, like
Yeah.
let me, try this or whatever. And I finally just like humbled myself and realized like, okay, he may not have like the specific background of like the commercial real estate, underwriting or in this space, whatever, but he is like, I trust him totally. And I know he has skills and he can figure out like the specific stuff. So anyway, we started working together, and then went full time, and it was really cool timing actually. And maybe this is all part of the story, like trusting the Lord's timing, because he was working full time at another firm, and he wouldn't. I actually had talked to him about it before. I don't know that I would have like brought him on if he was available, but he wasn't available because he's working full time, and he's like, he has three kids, like he has to provide, somehow. And I didn't have anything to offer him except, paper money, equity. But his right around that time when I posted on Instagram, his company had said we're closing like all remote employees need to come to work in the office in San Diego, and he's like, thanks but no thanks. I'm going to stick around in Utah. Like I built a life here. I'll figure out my next opportunity. So he had time to start working with me, which is really interesting.
That's cool. So it was like, it was all a timing thing.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Super interesting. So anyway, fast forward to today, and we've raised some money, and we brought on a third partner, who started a company called Dental Intelligence, and they're in like their software is used in like 1 out of 10 dental offices, and ironically he is the partner of the guy who originally I had that original conversation with coming back from the humanitarian trip.
Really? Interesting.
Yeah, and I was trying for a long time to work with this other guy who originally told me about this idea, and this is another kind of interesting lesson I feel like of just like trust in the Lord's timing. That's how I call it and how I see it. Because I really wanted to work with this guy who I originally talked to. But then come to find out, and through an iHub connection, started talking to the co-founder. And turns out this co-founder had actually wanted to do what we were doing and was trying to recruit the first guy that I talked to.
No way.
To do what we're doing now. And so the better partner is actually the one we're with now. And all along I was like trying and like, why doesn't this guy like want to work with us, when I really needed to spend 2 years, because I really needed to spend 2 years like grinding and like developing credibility to get to the point where I would be attractive for the actual guy that we should partner with.
there's been a lesson I've learned a lot lately, and it's when you're going into business, it's about who you become. And as you become the kind of person, like, right, you have this dream of what you want to achieve, becoming a good person and becoming better,
Yeah.
opportunities come. And I feel like it's just because God, he loves to give back. And if we're becoming like him, he's going to give us opportunities.
Yeah. That's such a powerful principle, right? I mean, you can do, I mean, it's like Corbin talks about, for the pitch event or whatever that's coming up at iHub. He's like, investors invest, and anyone, it's not just money, but like clients or like, co-founders, right? Like the data shows that, what your business model is today is probably going to be different, 2, 5, 10 years from now. So they're investing in you, who you are, just to your point about like, it's about who you become.
So how has iHub helped you as you've been growing your business?
You can work in your bedroom, and you're all alone and like it's only you, or you can plug into this unbelievable wealth of relationships that Corbin and the team offers. I mean, and as simple as just having a shared office space to work with your co-founder, it's just absolutely accelerated. Or co-founders, right? The one that we found through an iHub connection. Yeah. Just, it absolutely has put rocket boosters on everything. I could not, and plus, like, it's part of our company DNA to give back, right? But
yeah.
I
think that's something grateful. I really love about iHub too, is just like the collaborative environment. You walk in every single day and there are new people every single day.
Yeah.
And so it's always a good networking opportunity, and so many doors have opened for me.
You need to put yourself in the room where things happen. Yeah. It's like, again, you can be in your bedroom and make things happen to a point, but if you put yourself in the environment with the people that you want to be around and be like, that's gonna accelerate. So,
well, do you have any other like last advice that you would give?
It's really interesting. Like, I don't feel like success is a mystery. I feel like it's a formula. And it's taught by people who are successful, right? Like, don't take advice from people that you don't want to become like, and that applies. You can apply that like very specifically, right? Like physical fitness, like take, physical fitness advice from somebody that has the physical fitness that you want, or like spiritually, right? Or like someone's relationships with their family. That was really, really scary for me for a long time, was like that failure, right? That fear of failure. And it's really interesting now. I don't feel hardly any fear of failure. There's moments, but my confidence in our success is so high a lot of times, like in multiple businesses. So I can have confidence not in me, but in what they're telling me. And if I apply what they're telling me, then my odds of being successful as well just go, through the roof.